Hey, welcome back to Build Your Economic Power. In this video, video 5, we're going to be talking about stability. It's not enough. A stable job is not the same as economic security. Remember that. A stable job is not the same as economic security. All right, so for most of our lives, we're taught one thing about money. One thing. Get a stable job. A stable job means steady income, right? A stable job means safety, right? A safety means security, right? Wrong. That's the belief system most adults grow up with. I did, you did, lots of folks, even the younger generation. And on the surface, it all sounds reasonable. And it is to a certain degree. It literally is. Because a paycheck comes every 2 weeks. You get health benefits if you get 40 hours a week. You get some paid time off. You could do a predictable schedule. Who doesn't want that? It feels stable, right? Of course. But here's the uncomfortable illusion and truth. I'm sorry. Here's the uncomfortable truth that most people discover much later in life. Stability is not the same thing as security. And once you understand the difference, you start thinking about your income very, very differently. So here's where the illusion comes in. It's called the stability illusion. Let's define stability first. A stable job means predictable income. Every 2 weeks, you know what's coming. You can plan your bills, you can plan your rent or mortgage, you can build routines around it. Predictability creates comfort, which is dangerous, but predictability is not protection because the stability you're experiencing is controlled by someone else. Your employer controls that role. Your employer controls your time. They control the budget. They control the department. They control who they want to fire and hire. They control whether the position continues or exists. That means your stability is conditional. And conditional stability is not security. Get it now? It's temporary alignment. Things are stable as long as the system remains stable, but tomorrow it might not be. But systems change too. Markets shift. Leadership changes. Companies restructure. And when that happens, the stability disappears. All right, let's talk about some layoffs for a second because layoffs are not cool. And I'm going to plug in my computer with some power before it decides to lay me off and go with no power. So give me 1 second, folks. Sorry about that. All right, there it is. I don't want it laying me off. So let's talk about job layoffs, okay? Every year, thousands of people lose stable jobs. Not because they weren't capable, not because they were lazy, because companies adjust. It's business. Business is business. Budgets change. Departments get cut. Look what happened to the government this past year with all the Doge stuff. It was insane. But that's the government too. They're running it like a business now. Automation replaces roles with AI rolling out every single day, a new app, this, that, and the other. A lot of automation is actually replacing what people can do. It's messed up, but it is what it is. The economic downturns force restructuring, unfortunately, and suddenly someone who believed they had security discovers that stability was temporary. The difficult part about layoffs isn't just the loss of income, it's the shock. It's like, what just happened? It's a shock to the system because most people believe the structure they depend on will always be there until it isn't. The moment reveals something important. If all of your income comes from one place, you're fully exposed to that place. That's what you call concentration risk. And concentration risk is dangerous in any financial system. So the burnout of it all. What a burnout. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about something else that stability can create. Burnout. Many stable jobs slowly drain people, especially as you're getting older. You get in your 40s, you get in your 50s, you get in your 60s, it starts burning out. I mean, even in your 30s, you start getting burning out. You start feeling it as you get past like 36. You're like, why am I so tired? This, that, and the other. Because your 20s, Rambo style. I got this, I got that. Wonderful. But you start hitting those upper 30s after 35, really starts burning you out some. And especially if you get a family with kids, you got to run all over the place, so on and so forth. So, many stable jobs slowly drain people. Let's get back on that. Not overnight, just gradually. Okay? They have long hours, high expectations, constant performance pressure, emails that never stop, Teams channels that people are just, you're trying to do something and people are, hey, you got a minute? Do you have a minute? Do you have a minute? It's like, you see I'm in the middle of something here? So where's my focus? And then constant meetings all the time. It's like endless meetings where you could have got so much productivity done, but these meetings were for somebody to feel sometimes justified on their job. Like, seriously, dude, just email me or just, Teams me or stop by and go, knock, knock, you got a minute? Come on, right? Or anyway, so emails never stop. The deadlines that just keep on stacking. And the difficult part is this: when your job is your only one income source, you feel like you can't slow down. You tolerate more stress, more pressure. You accept more pressure. You push through exhaustion. Why? Because you're dependent. Your financial survival is connected to that system. So even when the job becomes unhealthy, you stay. I mean, how many of us have worked with unhealthy employees? Like, I don't want to work with that person, but we just keep doing it. It's like, hello? Anyway, not because we want to, because we feel like we have to. That's not security, folks. That's pressure disguised as stability. PTO limitations, all right? Let's talk about that. Paid time off limitations. Let's talk about what most people experience. If you have a full-time job, you experience this. If you have a part-time job, you may have some PTO or time off that you're not going to get paid, but you can only take a certain amount of time. And if you don't want to take that time as your pay, as your part-time, you feel like, oh, I might get fired. All this worry, it's insanity. It's the way that the unfunctioning society has literally brainwashed us. Okay? So most employees receive a limited number of vacation days if you're doing PT, if you're doing full time, 40 hours or 32 hours, I think is full time now, 40 hours. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, sometimes less. Now imagine something happens in your life, a family emergency, a health issue, a moment when someone you care about needs you, but your PTO is gone. Now what? You're like, now you're negotiating with the system. You're asking permission for time to leave. You're hoping your manager approves it. You're worried about how it will affect your position. This is something that many adults experience. I've experienced this. It's not fun. Then they, start realizing their time is not fully theirs. The schedule is not fully theirs. Their flexibility is not fully theirs because their income depends on approval. That's stability. It's not freedom. All right, let's talk about this guy again here. The man who couldn't take off work. Let me tell you a scenario that happened to me. And it probably happens to more people than they realize. There are workers who want to take some time off, but they can't. Not because they don't have vacation days, but because they can't afford to. If they stop working, the income stops. Bills still exist, rent still exists, mortgage still exists, food still exists. And suddenly they realize something. Their stability only works if they continue to show up. They're economically stationary. They cannot step away without consequences. And that realization creates pressure. That pressure is stress. The pressure keeps going. Pressure to keep performing. Pressure to stay inside the system. That's not security, that's dependence. It's not good. The realization of this is the realization many adults eventually reach. A stable job provides income, but it does not provide security. Security comes from options. Options to generate income in multiple ways. Options to step away when necessary. Options to pivot when systems change. Options to say no when environments become unhealthy. When all income comes from one source, you have stability. But, check it out, when income comes from multiple sources, you begin to build security. And security changes your psychology. You show up differently at work. You negotiate differently. You handle stress way differently. And because you know something important, your entire future is not dependent on one income. So here's the shift. Now, this does not mean you need to quit your job. It doesn't mean you need to go quit your job just because you have other options available and created other income. It does not mean your job is bad. Jobs are valuable. They're very valuable. Jobs provide structure. Jobs provide the income. But jobs should not be your only economic strategy. That's the shift right there, folks. You keep the stability, but you activate additional income. You reduce your dependency on one income. And once dependency begins to shrink, your economic power begins to grow and rise. So here's the idea that I want to talk about. Stability without activation is dependency. But stability with activation becomes leverage. You start getting leverage. And leverage changes the game. It changes everything. Because security doesn't come from employers. Security comes from options. In the next video, we're going to be talking about something practical. Okay? How to identify a monetization skill in 10 minutes. Because most people don't lack ability. They lack activation. And once you learn how to identify the value you already have, you can start building your economic power. That's right, your economic power. So hey, check it out. If you like this video, please subscribe, hit that notification button, like, and comment. All right, folks, God bless you. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and build your economic power, and I'll see you in the next video. This is James. I'm out.